that has never been in contact with any particular law enforcement court system. And from what I can see and what I hear out here from a lot of my Black male, and I'm sure it's common knowledge, is that because they are unfamiliar with the court system, they don't know, number one.
Traveler.
Buckle up, folks. Today's case dives into the wild world of sovereign citizens, and this one's got a twist. Believe it or not, our freedom-loving driver actually asked for a lawyer this time. Progress? Maybe. But don't get your hopes up. He's still knee-deep in the usual sovereign playbook. This all kicked off when he got pulled over for driving without a license. And, wait for it, his license plate simply read Traveler. Yep, just Traveler. Like that alone grants him immunity from the law. Naturally, things spiraled. He resisted arrest, because apparently no sovereign citizen saga is complete without a side of chaos. It's a mess, but also kind of fascinating. Let's unpack what really went down, because this one escalates fast.
I have already discussed it on this case, and we just both want you to hear the PC, if we can, Judge.
Okay.
And then on the bond reinstatement as well, Judge. Right.
So officers initiated a traffic stop in Harris County, Texas for a vehicle having a fictitious plate bearing the word Traveler on it. During the stop, the defendant refused to provide...
Traveler. Okay.
During the stop, the defendant refused to provide ID or insurance information, stating, "I do not consent to this." Officer attempted to remove the defendant from the vehicle, and defendant actively resisted by pulling his arm away from deputies until he was detained.
Okay. Tell me what.
So we looked at, Madam Prosecutor, the interference with duties of public servant, Your Honor. Even if my client is failing to give them that, then it is an arrestable offense. But in this situation, it is, Judge. However, in this particular situation, he didn't interfere with anything in terms of his own arrest. I can, if it was a resisting or something to that effect, I can.
They're just trying to get him out of the car.
I don't disagree.
It's classic sovereign case where got the license plate, think that traveling by right is what I think how they term it.
In this situation, Judge, and the reason I'm employing upon the court is, even from what Madam Prosecutor has seen on the video, they're pulling and tugging at his arm, which put my client in some fear. It was more than one officer. It was pretty.
But he still has a duty. If they're asking you to come out, they can lawfully do that. And there are videos, and go on YouTube, right? There are hundreds of videos where officers will literally destroy your car to get you out. When you get into a pissing match with a person who has the power of arrest, who's going to win, Mr. Daly?
We don't disagree, Your Honor.
Right. You know what I mean? That's real life.
We don't disagree, Your Honor. I think under the circumstances of what actually happened, it was not Mr. Daly's position to resist or to interfere. That was not. He was concerned for his safety at that point. And actually, I don't know, did you hear that on the video? Right. And so in reviewing the video, it was pretty quick, pretty brash. They didn't give him an opportunity to respond per the prosecutor. In this situation, it wasn't as if he was intentionally.
Remember, this is just a mere probable cause.
Yes,
so,
I agree.
They ask you to come out of the car one time. Yeah, it's really, that's. So, I think that there's enough probable cause to go forward now. The problem is, Mr. Daly, is that we revoked your bond. Your bond is set at $2,501, and you've continually failed to appear. So, the case and the way that you've treated us, it shows me that you just refuse to accept authority. How are we supposed to deal with that? How do we deal with that, Timberl?
Your Honor, the only reason I bring to your attention is I asked the court to take into consideration. We have a Black male works every day who, and I hate to put that on the court, but I do in this particular climate, that has never been in contact with any particular law enforcement court system. And from what I can see and what I hear out here from a lot of my black male, and I'm sure it's common knowledge, is that because they are unfamiliar with the court system, they don't know, number one. Number two, when they do come in contact with police, and my mother is assistant chief of police, so I can understand, even when I was younger, I was taught that there are certain things that you have to do with when a police officer even stop you on a speeding ticket. What we don't know is whenever these officers come up, when you're somebody who don't have the privilege of having a police officer as a parent, or who isn't familiar and is being raised in this particular climate and seeing what they see on TV and seeing what they hear and everything that has occurred, you don't know what the proper steps are. I was trained from when I was grown up what you do. I'm not saying that what he did was right or wrong. I'm not saying that how he reacted to this particular court, it is wrong. However, I'm employing upon the court to ask the court to take into a little bit of consideration, number one,
Now, here's where things take an even stranger turn: the defense attorney. At first glance, you'd think she's just doing her job, but the way she handled this case felt oddly personal, like she was defending a close friend rather than a client. In the middle of a sovereign citizen hearing, she unexpectedly brought up race, which raised more than a few eyebrows in the courtroom. She argued that the officers had no probable cause, even though her client was driving with a fake traveler plate and ignored direct police orders. That defense just doesn't pass the smell test. And the judge? She wasn't having any of it. It was like the lawyer was pretending none of it happened, shielding her client from reality while the judge looked increasingly unimpressed. Honestly, it felt less like a legal defense and more like a performance. What do you think? Because from where I'm sitting, this strategy looked doomed from the start.
All defendants, can't just say this, but I do see that, from what I've known from this particular case and now in talking to him, I do believe that there is a sense of sometimes they just don't know. Sometimes they just don't. So I'm asking to reinstate his PR bond. I am now on the case. What you know about me, I'm a tight attorney. I run a tight ship. So, and by which of way I believe I can reach him and getting him to court and resolving this matter, which is what I talked to the prosecutor about when you were on break. It's like, let's just resolve this. Let's take care of this.
I'll buy it.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, Judge.
I'm not going to do this again, though. I promise you. I don't care whoever you have. If you flake on us again, that's 3 times. It's out. I'm not going to do it again. Do you understand, Mr. Daly? I mean, when you come to court, good things happen. When you don't show up and you continually do it, you can't expect good things to happen. Now, do you have a Texas driver's license?
Not right now.
You're not allowed to drive.
Right.
You have a bond condition and you've signed an affidavit with me today promising you're not going to drive. I don't care how you term it. Driving, traveling, however you're going to word it, whatever you do not get into the driver's seat of an automobile, a motorcycle, anything with a combustible engine where you can get on the road unless you have approval from us. Do you understand? I don't care that you have to work. I don't care if you have to go to church. I don't care if you're going to a funeral. I don't care if you're going to wherever it may be. Do not drive. Do you understand? Heed this warning. You're not going to get another one. Okay, Timberlake, I'll reinstate the bond.
Thank you, Your Honor. And I'll talk to her. We were going to try to talk to Chief, but it's pretty busy today.
I think the case is only 3 months old,
Yes,
so you've got time. You can do whatever you want.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Judge.
Because you have a lawyer, I will waive your appearance. You don't have to waste your time coming to court now, but you must stay in touch with her and she'll tell you when you got to come back to court. If she comes back and tells me she can't get a hold of you because you're playing games or you've gone AWOL or whatnot, or you get arrested for something else, all bets off. We good? I'm not asking for much, man. Really. And for future reference, when you get into a pissing match with someone with the power of arrest, you are nearly always going to lose. It's just the way it works. And as a young Black man in today's society, you got to be extra special careful because things can go really wrong really quick. And there's evidence of that over and over and over.
Okay, maybe this is a controversial opinion, but I have to say, I'm a bit let down by how lightly Judge Flair handled the outcome. Now don't get me wrong, not every sovereign citizen needs the book thrown at them, But this guy skipped court, resisted arrest like it was some kind of personal revolution, and was cruising around with a license plate that looked like he whipped it up in Microsoft Paint. In most cases, dodging a court date triggers more charges or at least a contempt warrant. Add in resisting arrest, and you'd expect a harsher sentence, or at least a serious reprimand. But nope, he basically walked away with a wrist slap. It felt like a real missed opportunity to send a message. And let's not forget the attorney. She practically hijacked the entire hearing. The guy barely got a word in while she dominated the courtroom like she was hosting a one-woman show. Honestly, it felt less like legal defense and more like adult supervision. Maybe it's a Texas courtroom thing, I don't know. If you're from Texas, tell me if this is normal, because I was baffled. The most bizarre part? She threw in the race card, which didn't really fit this situation at all. Just to be clear, this isn't about race itself. It's about how off-base that defense felt, given the facts. This guy was following the sovereign citizen script to a T, right down to his homemade traveler plate. Anyway, I'll stop here before I lose any more brain cells watching this circus unfold. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like and subscribe for more off-the-rails courtroom drama. And seriously, drop your thoughts about that attorney in the comments. That's the part that stuck with me the most. Catch you in the next one.